Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Wisdom Seekers University. And today's topic is going to be about receptacles. Okay? Just to give you guys a briefing, a receptacle is something that contains things, right? So, for an example, your body contains your spirit. So your body is the receptacle for your spirit. Your skull is the receptacle for your brain. Your brain is the receptacle for your brain stem. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. The earth is a receptacle for your body. You know? So that just gives you guys an overview of how important the receptacle is. All right? So without further ado, let's get deeper into this discussion. All right, so let's check out what receptacle means. Okay, so a receptacle, it means an object or space used to contain something. And the origin of the word receptacle means receive back. All right, so the receptacle means to receive back. It's an object or space used to contain something. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the definition since we got the most common definition out of the way. So now, in North America, an electrical outlet, a receptacle is an electrical outlet into which the plug of an electrical device may be inserted. Okay, so it's the plug. You know how everybody say, hey, everybody want to be the plug. You know what I mean? So in zoology, the receptacle is an organ or structure which receives a secretion, eggs, sperm, etc. All right? So it receives things. In botany, the receptacle is an enlarged area at the apex of a stem that bears the organs of a flower or the florets of a flower head. All right? So it bears and it also is a structure supporting the sexual organs in the algae, mosses or mosses in liverworts. All right? So it also supports. So it supports, bears, which are basically synonyms. It receives, it contains, and it's also the plug, the outlet, okay? It's an electrical outlet. So it lets things out, it brings things in, it holds things, and it supports things. All right? So the receptacle does everything for the most part, right? So let's see what receptacle means in botany. Let's get a little deeper into the botany definition of receptacle. Okay? In angiosperms, the receptacle or torus, right, which is a very important word, torus, which is the same word as receptacle. Isn't that something? Right, which means it's an older term. The older term for the word receptacle or torus is thalamus, right? As in thalamiflora. Okay? So now, it is the thickened part of a stem, which is the pedicel, from which the flower organ grow. Okay? From which the flower organs grow. In some accessory fruits, for example, the pome and strawberry, the receptacle gives rise to the edible part of the fruit. All right? So the receptacle also gives rise to something. It gives rise to the edible part of the fruit. Right? You following it so far? So the receptacle is also a word for the torus, and receptacle and the word torus comes from the older term thalamus. All right, so let's continue. So let's check out our flower to look at some of the things it expresses. Okay, so the flower has an anther, filament, egg, embryo sac, which is like a human, right? Secondary embryo sac, which the nucleus. It also has a receptacle, as you can see what the receptacle is. Since we're talking about receptacle, that's the receptacle right there. Boom, the receptacle. Right above that, you have the sepal, right? Staminode. You have the stamen, the ovary, which is like a female, the petal, style, and pollen. All right. So just pay attention. You see, then you have the stigma at the top, and then you have the germinating pollen. All right. So as you can see, the flower is like a female. That's why people reference females to flowers. You see what I'm saying? Blossoming and things like that. All right. Peep game. Do you see how that looks? All right. So now let's go to another flower, which is all the same thing. You got the receptacle, you have the ovary, you have the filament, anther, petal, stigma, style, sepal, you know what I mean? And then if you notice in the middle of it, it kind of looks like a crescent moon and all that, or whatever. That's like the half aspect. Okay, but anyway. So now let's go on to Taurus. See what that means. Since receptacle and Taurus is the same. So now, in geometry, the torus is a surface or a solid formed by rotating a closed curve, especially a circle, around a line that lies in the same plane but does not intersect it, like a ring-shaped donut, right? A thing of this shape, especially a large ring-shaped chamber, is used in physical research, right? So now, it's saying it's a rotating closed curve, a circle, right, that goes around a line that lies on the same plane, but they don't intersect, all right? So let's get to the second definition, architecture. In architecture, a torus is a large convex molding, typically semicircle, in cross section, especially as the lowest part of the base of a column. All right. So is that you remember you saw that half ring when I said it looked like a crescent moon almost or whatever? So that must be the half-shaped circle they're talking about, the half circle, right? So now in anatomy, it's a ridge of bone or muscle, the maxillary or the maxillary torus. All right, it's the maxillary torus. If I'm saying that right, if I'm pronouncing that right. All right, so let's go to botany. Number 4 is the receptacle of a flower, which is the main basis of this topic, right? That's what we're mainly discussing, the receptacle of a flower. So all these things means torus or receptacle. You feel what I'm saying? And it all contains something. All right, so let's keep going. Look at a plug right quick, since it says like a plug, okay? So now you see the plug. So the plug, if you compare it to it, you see it looks just like that other picture that we saw. You know what I mean? Of the pink flower, or the flower, right? Not the pink flower, but this flower. You see the top part of it? Can you see the top part? You see the top part, that look like the top of the plug. And then these are the parts of the plug. These right here, that's what the socket go in at, right? And then the middle part, right in the middle, that's the middle hole, right? So it's like the same thing. So it's showing you. You see the similarities? Boom. Can you see the similarities? The top part of the plug, you can see, right? You got the small part. That's what it is. You know what I mean? So now, let's continue down. So now, this is a torus, a field or whatever, or actually just a torus, right? I didn't put in torus field, but it's basically like a torus field. It's the same exact thing, same exact thing. And pay attention to the head and all those things at the top, so you guys can do some more research on your own about it and pay attention to some of those topics down at the bottom. You know what I mean? Where it says crystal life technology or whatever, right? So that you can follow it more. You know what I mean? So that's what that is. That's the torus. So now let's get to the column. You remember it was mentioned in the column and everything, right? So it's the same thing. So you got the column, and the bottom of the column is the torus that sits on top of the base, right? Which, like right here, that's the torus of the column. Then of course that's the base. Then you have your shaft, and then at the top of the shaft you have the capital. You know what I mean? You can see the capital up there. So you got the capital, you have the shaft, then you have the torus, and then under the torus you have the base. Okay, so and you know when they said it, the receptacle, right, or the torus, or or the thalamus, right? It gives rise to something. It supports something. It contains something. It receives something, right? All right, so just follow it. You know what I mean? So just pay attention. Stay with me. So now, let's go to the next slide. So now this is the torus field around you, right? This is your bioelectric field that surrounds the body, and they also call it your torus field, the electromagnetic field that surrounds you, that permeates everything that has matter for the most part, right? And actually, it's matter itself. It winds and twists, right? Just how they were saying something that goes around in a circle, and it forms matter and everything. So that's basically what it does. But just so you see, this energy surrounds you. This energy surrounds everybody. And as you can see, that they have this star down at the bottom. I don't know what that's all about or whatever, but I guess it's representing your cardinal directions. You see what I'm saying? All the cardinal directions. And we know that the Star of David is very significant and stuff like that. So all that's representing that. You know what I mean? Then you have the pentagram. I mean, hey, I'm just letting you know, it's deep, right? And then you see right here, it says the metaphysics of our spirituality within the universe. All right? So, hey, see what's going on. And then, at the top left, you see where it says you, right? So, and then I don't know if you noticed or not, but you can see how it's like at an angle. The spiral is at an angle, right? So you remember when we looked up one definition, it was saying how it goes in a circle, but it does not intersect, right? Kind of like it's a spiral. You feel what I'm saying? It's a spiral. It keeps spiraling, but it never connects. It never intersects, right? So, and as you can see the picture down at the bottom left, that is explaining how it goes around different things, like it goes around the earth. So like I was saying, well, it goes around the earth, it goes around the trees, it goes around the solar system, the galaxy, and everything. You can see it's also correlated with with cells, cellular structures, and atoms and stuff like that, right? It's with all those things. So, and like I said again, look at the top and follow those things so you can get deeper understanding, because there's so much I can give you in a reasonable or decent amount of time. You see what I'm saying? Where I won't cram so much information in your mind, right? So you can process the information on your own. Just follow what I'm showing. I'm trying to go through it kind of quick for you guys. All right. So let's check out the thalamus, because we know that receptacle and the receptacle and the torus field comes from the word thalamus, right? So the thalamus is a small structure within the brain located just above the brain stem, between the cerebral cortex and the midbrain, and has extensive nerve connections to both. The main function of the thalamus is to relay motor and sensory signals to the cerebral cortex. All right? So it says the thalamus is a small structure, first of all, right, within the brain, located just above the brainstem, between the cerebral cortex, right? This is the cerebral cortex, and the midbrain, right? And has extensive nerve connections. The extensive nerve connections to both, right? And the nerve connections are like your cranial nerves and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? And that's where all the signals go through to give your body, to tell your body what to do. It gives your body commands. All right? So, and it says, and it has extensive nerve connections to both. And it says the main function of the thalamus, right? The main function is to relay motor and sensory signals to the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex, all right? So now, You know, the motory nerves deals with how you move. It controls how you move, right? And the sensory signals determines like your 5 senses, your taste, touch, smell, things like that. That's your sensory signals. And your motory signals move things. So it's letting you know your thalamus controls your entire being for the most part. Your sensory and your motory, your thalamus controls it. Okay? It houses that. Houses the machinery that controls that. Okay, for the most part. All right, so let's move on. So this is your brainstem. As you can see, this is your brainstem, right? And at the top of your brainstem, you have your thalamus. Look like a person. It looks like a person. That's the joystick. All right, that's what controls everything. Your brainstem controls your entire being, right? And inside your thalamus is it's the signals and the secretions and all that type of stuff where it's housed at, and it's doing that magic so that you can do things. It's sending those electrical impulses and charges out, sending signals. It's the commander in chief for the most part. It's the messenger, all right? It's the messenger. It's the commander in chief. You see, because remember it said that it relayed the information to the nerves and all that. It's the relayer. It's the messenger, right? An angel is called the messenger of God. And I also want you to notice, right? If you look at the brain on the right-hand side, the brain itself, I'm gonna give you guys a piece of information that a lot of people probably don't know, right? But the folded up brain is actually your whole entire body. That's your whole entire body folded. It's like you bowing, praying, okay? Like you got the wings, you know what I mean? The blue part that's highlighted, that's like your wings on the brain, on the right. That's your wings. See what I'm saying? That's your arms, right? And then the prefrontal cortex or whatever, that's the part in the front of your brain. See what I'm saying? And then around the back of it, it's like your back, the back part, your spine and all that stuff where it goes all the way around. You know what I mean? On top of your I forgot what it's called, your left and right hemisphere of your brain, right? And right down the middle, that's like your spinal cord. You understand? So it's like all correlated with as above, so below aspect. You see what I'm saying? As within, so without. Okay, but you know, the bottom of the cerebellum, right? I may as well read all that, right? So you see the cranial nerves attached to the front. It's attached to the chest. That's your cranial nerves. That's those nerves that was mentioned in the other part. And then the top part is the edge of the cerebrum, right? But it looks like a duck mouth or whatever, right? And then you have the midbrain, which is right below the thalamus. And then you have the edge of the cerebellum, okay? And then you have the medulla oblongata, and then you have the spinal cord at the bottom. And now, and at on the right picture, the brain picture, then you have the cerebellum, right? And I just wanted to explain about the cerebellum. The cerebellum is like your feet. It's the feet. Like you think if you go within your mind and use your imagination, right? Focus a mental image, like it was saying at the beginning, and you focus on the bottom part of your feet and you move it up and down, I guarantee you your feet move. I guarantee you. And if you learn other parts of the brain, like I said, the wing part, if you just imagine in your mind that part of your brain is like fanning out, I guarantee you your chicken wing will move. I'm just giving you some deep knowledge, man, just so you know how to actually exercise this information that I'm giving you, letting you know, oh, it's the real deal. It's not a game. It's not a joke in no sense of the word at all whatsoever. It's not a joke. All right. So now, that's just a piece of information that I probably shouldn't have told you. But anyway, because it's kind of like off the topic, I don't want to get you off the topic of what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But understand, that's your whole entire body folded up. All right, so let's keep moving forward. So now, let's break down the word receptacle a little bit further. Let's look up, let's see what recept means. All right? Recept is a mental image. That mental image I was telling you about. If you imagine how the brain looks, you can do it. Or idea, right? Formed by repeated exposure to a particular stimulus or class of stimuli. All right? So recept is a mental image or idea, right? Formed by repeated exposure. So how is this mental image or idea? How does it come to be? How does it become manifested? By repeated exposure to a particular stimulus. Okay? So whatever you're focusing on, that's the stimulus. All right. So if I'm focused on money all the time, the stimulus is my money. That's what I'm focusing on. You know what I mean? How I'm gonna get the money. That's a stimulus, right? Or whatever the case. Or you focus on the drug or whatever the case is. That's your stimulus. So your mind is going to form a mental image or ideal form. It's going to be formed to get that, right? Whatever you repeatedly form in your mind, eventually you're going to end up getting it. Is basically what it's saying, right? So now, the ending of the word receptacle, co, is a suffix of Latin nouns borrowed into English via French, right? Used later in adaptations of words borrowed directly from Latin. In Latin, it formed nouns that denoted a place appropriate to the action of a verb, right? Which is a cubicle or a receptacle, or a means by which the action is performed, a vehicle. So that's the key point I want you guys to catch, that the code part of the receptacle, right? So the receptacle is the image and the idea is the mental image of it, right? And so the ending of it, the suffix of the word receptacle, is the vehicle. So it's like the enclosure. So the vehicle is the enclosure. Like you inside of a car, the car is your enclosure and you are controlling the car, okay? So the code part of is actually enclosing the recept. Okay, so it's enclosing your mental ideas, your mental images, your mental ideas or whatever, right? That's what the code of it does. It's the container, right? That actually means like the container. So your thoughts and ideas are inside the receptacle. And the receptacle is your brain or your thalamus or whatever the case, right? It's inside your thalamus. So the thalamus houses the mental images or ideas, right? Which makes sense because it's the messenger as well to relay information and all that. Okay? So it makes sense out of everything for the most part. Okay, let's continue. Now, let's look up what receptor is. So now we see receptor. If we go on down, in physiology, receptor means an end organ or a group of end organs of sensory or afferent neurons, specialized to be sensitive to stimulating agents as touch or heat. All right. So again, it says the physiology is an end organ, right? So if you have a picture of neurons have like a string. It's like a string, and then it has like fibers on the end of it, like the connectors. Okay, like a spider, for instance. Okay, so imagine a spider, like the legs. You see the middle part of it. You know what I mean? That's basically it. That's the end of the organ. Okay, and the string itself, like the spider web, is basically like the neuron. You know what I mean? When it send out a web, I mean, I know I could have gave better difference. So basically, like your hands, like your fingers, right, will be like the end of the organ, and your arm will be like the neuronic cord, basically. You see what I'm saying? And the information travels through your arm down to your fingers and cause them to move. All right. So it's kind of like that. Okay, so it's specialized to be sensitive to stimulating agents as touch or heat, right? Specialized to be sensitive. It's specialized in sensitivity, okay, to stimulating agents as touch or heat. So your receptors are designed to recept, okay? It's designed to pull in images, mental images, and all this type of stuff within your thalamus to cause you to do action for the most part. Okay, so let's keep moving. So now, let's look up septical, okay? Septical or skeptical. You can be pronounced in any way. So, you know, in the U.S., it's saying skeptical with a K. But, you know, when you think about scepters and stuff like that, or septic tank, and, you know, we pronounce it as septic. You know what I mean? But as you can see, it can also mean skeptical. So it can mean receptacle instead of receptacle or receptacle. All right. But anyway, y'all still want to go on with it. So the adjective is not easily convinced, having doubts or reservations. All right. So it's being skeptical, showing skeptivity. All right, so a sentence for it is like the public were deeply skeptical or skeptical about some of the proposals, right? So in philosophy again, It means relating to theory that certain knowledge is impossible. Relating to theory that certain knowledge is impossible. Okay? So the people that, oh, no, that can't be true. I can't be wrong. You understand? It's like that kind of thing. So let's look a little bit further into it. All right. So synonyms for receptacle or skeptical, all depending on how you want to pronunciate it. All right. So it's dubious. Synonyms are dubious, doubtful, having reservations, taking something with a pinch of salt. We normally say with a grain of salt, right? Doubting, questioning, cynical, distrustful, mistrustful, suspicious, disbelieving, misbelieving, unconvinced, incredulous, hesitant, scoffing, pessimistic, defeatist, right? And antonyms are certain, certain, convinced, or optimistic, right? So now it's a totally opposite. So now when you're saying receptacle or re-skeptical, right? You're saying to be certain. It's about being certain, being convinced, being optimistic, right? Being teachable, being coachable. Because the synonyms for skeptical, right, means dubious, doubtful, right? Having reservation. And remember, receptacle means to come back, right? To return back, okay? So that means turn away from doubt, turn away from reservations, turn away from taking something with a pinch of salt, take away from the doubt, take away from questioning, take away from the being cynical, and distrustful and mistrustful and all that. You know what I mean? You have to get into the point of life to where you're certain, where you're convinced, where you know what I'm saying, where you're optimistic about the situation, to where you don't think, no, it's just not gonna work. I just know it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? You have to be optimistic. You have to leave yourself the possibility of something to happen or change or however you want to look at it. You know what I mean? I mean, in many ways to look at things, right? So I'm just trying to give you different insights to where you can just look into it. You know what I mean? And then when you get looking up those words that you see, right? The dubious, the doubtful, and all those words, see what they actually mean. It'll give you even more clarity and give you even more words to follow and give you more things to stand on, right? So you can become more certain and convinced and more optimistic about what you're doing and your steps in life and understanding how the patterns work, right? Because you'll have a foundation to stand on, you know what I mean? All right, you gotta make it to it strong. All right, so now let's get the scepter. Okay, scepter is an ornamented staff. Everybody, when you just Google Bible scriptures about ornaments and stuff like that, it's gonna start talking to you, letting you know about the jewels and everything that was on it, right? So this is basically representing your brainstem for the most part. If you want to look at the Bible esoterically, the way you're supposed to look at it, and not exoterically, all right? Esoteric is the way, okay? All the exoteric, the literal information came from the esoteric information, like the information I'm giving you right now. And it's all being, okay, wow. So it's like this information is being engulfed with the receptacle, you know what I mean? So the outside information is the receptacle of the inside information. You understand what I'm saying? So it's the protector of what it's really saying, right? With symbols and all this stuff. Okay, so it's an ornamented staff carried by rulers, right? On ceremonial occasions as a symbol of sovereignty, right? So the symbol of sovereignty let you know you're free in the mind. It's your mind. You have the free will to think how you want to think, right? So symbol, okay? Symbol means a sign for something. So it's a sign for sovereignty. All right. So you see all these symbols and things like that, understand that it's signifying something. And more than likely, it's always signifying something within yourself. All right. But you just have to connect the dots. That's why I'm urban scholar, connect the dots, right? Or BT or whatever else you want to name it. You see what I'm saying? Electric Mercury, I'm all those names. Booker T, yeah, I'm me. But yeah, that's what I'm here to do, connect the dots, right? So now let's keep going. So I don't know who this character is. I forgot who that character is in Egyptian mythology or whatnot. But for the most part, he's holding a scepter in his hand, right? Can you see the scepter? Okay, and this part, that's like your midbrain. basically. You feel what I'm saying? Like the bottom part, the last 4 vertebrae of the spinal cord or something like that. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay, and then above it, as you can see, you see the unk, right? So he has the unk. And this is representing your circle of Willis. The unk is representing your circle of Willis. And then above that is representing your the thing that we're talking about right now, your receptacle. You understand what I'm saying? So the thalamus, that's the thalamus, the circle part. That's the thalamus. And the part that arrives out of it is like the sprout. You gotta give me 1 second. I have to, somebody knocking at my door, trying to see if somebody will get it from me. I think they take care of it. All right, so now, let me keep going. I can't let no energy stop this knowledge I'm trying to give y'all. All right, so now, as a matter of fact, I want you guys to see something. Look, can you see this right here at the bottom? Look at it at the bottom. You see that wiggly line? That's a part of the circle of Willis that I just noticed. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna show you guys in 1 second as I continue through the slides. And you see the unk over there to the right, okay? And then you can see something that appears to be like a serpent. So I'd imagine that this picture is like science. It's like a science picture. It's like teaching you what different things mean about the body. That's really what it's teaching you. It's teaching you what. So this picture is a symbol. It's not really designed to think of it as a real person or a real thing or a real entity or anything like that. It's a message. It's a symbol. It's signifying something. All right. So now let's keep going. So this is the circle of Willis. Okay, the circle of Willis is like all your blood cells and things like that. You know what I mean? And when I look at it out of my first eye, which I call my third eye, you know what I mean? I see it as being like a person. Like if you look at it, it looks like a person. You see, it appears to be like a person to me. That I can just see a person with the 2 parts on the side. That's like your eyes, as you can see in the picture to the right, to the far right. If you look in the direct middle, in the thalamus aspect and the receptacle aspect, to where everything is connecting and joining, where all the blood vessels and cranial nerves are coming from, right? It appears to be like a face, like a person inside the brain. So this is what's being housed. This is what's controlling everything. That's a part of your brainstem, right? You remember your brainstem. All those things are wrapped around your brainstem, wrapped around your cerebellum, as you can see at the bottom, where it's angling stuff, right? But I don't want to get too far into it. I just wanted to show you what's going on, right? So now, you remember those wiggly lines that I showed you guys, right? So down at the bottom, can you see how it appears to be the same thing? You know what I mean? Down at the bottom, where it says the posterior artery or whatever, it appears to be water, and it's wavy. You know what I mean? So that's the same thing as, to me, it's like water, right? You got your water, then you got your land, then you got your air up there. You know what I mean? Then that's you in the middle, in between the both. You know, I don't know. That's just how I see it. You see what I'm saying? I'm just looking at it with my eyes. That's just how it's looking. That's what it's looking like to me. It's telling me that it's like that, right? But we definitely can see. That's why I was saying that I think on the other picture, it was trying to show us. See, it was trying to show us with the wiggly line down at the bottom, like I was showing you. Down at the bottom, it's trying to let. That's why I think it's like a science book. You know what I mean? It's like, it is like science. They're trying to teach us something. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. They're trying to teach us what's going on and how it operates and how it works. All right, so let's keep going. So now, I think that was the end of my slides or whatever, right? So I thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Wisdom Seekers University. And I hope you guys gained a lot of information about what the receptacle is. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, this thing can get deep. It can get deeper and deeper and deeper. Like however far you want to dig down the rabbit hole, it's just how far it's gonna go. All right? So follow up on some of the things that I showed you already. Don't just take my word for it. Follow up on it on your own. Look up more definitions. Look up more words. You know what I mean? Get deeper into it. Because I just gave you guys an overview of what I was able to give, you know what I mean? So that I can just keep it all compact, give it to you, so you can go out and I won't take up all your day. You see what I'm saying? Because I've looked into the other aspects of these things. You see what I'm saying? And it will take you to other places, right? And if you know anything about the Bible, the scriptures, and stuff like that, a lot of things pops out of that. You know what I mean? To where you can be like, oh, you can reference it to this, you can cross-reference, and you can see how science and religion is all the same. All knowledge is the same. All knowledge is meant to uplift you. All scriptures, you see what I'm saying? So don't listen to people when they're telling you, oh, this is fake, oh, that's fake, oh, that's not, this people wrote this for this people, or this was for mind control, or it's for, yes, everything is for mind control. That's the object, to control your mind. But in what way are you controlling your mind? Are you controlling your mind in the right way or the wrong way? Are you being misled or are you being enlightened? You see what I'm saying? That's the idea. You see, are you being stripped away from your power? You know what I mean? Or is power being brought to you? All right? So, yeah, for the most part, man, that's it for today. And I don't want to really beat a dead horse. I want to get off of this while it's good time. And I will piggyback off of some of the things eventually down the line. And yeah, you guys don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Share my channel to other people if you think other people would be interested in the information that I'm presenting, right? And so, yeah, check out some of the other videos. I've done a video on thalamus already. If I'm not mistaken, I did one on the circle of Willis or whatever. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you guys, peace. Have a great day. And understand that your brainstem, right? Your brainstem controls your entire body. All right? So, with that being said, control yourself. All right? And definitely have a great life. All right? Until next time, people, I'll get with you.